Welcome into House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for MMQB, SIMMQB. Gilbert, you were out there at the joint practice between the Rams and the Saints. How did they? How did everything go down there?
Yeah, for being such a last minute, I guess, joint practice, it went pretty smooth. The Rams were initially supposed to practice with the Chargers, and the Chargers said no thanks. We're too beat up, too many injuries. We lost Rashawn Slater. I'm good, and I think it was good that Sean McVay was trying to find another partner because he got the Cowboys already. The Saints are there, and honestly, I'm surprised that the Saints were in town for a whole week in LA and weren't really approaching another team to do a scrimmage. So maybe a part of it is because they have a younger team with the well, at least at the quarterback. So you have a young quarterback, and are you ready to throw him into the fire just yet? Maybe that could have been some of the hesitation on the Saints' part. Hey, but they got it done, both sides, Saints, Rams. And I'll say this, Victor, to give you some positivity off the bat. I had a lot of fun because there was this good spot in the center of the two fields where, I was standing with Fernando, and we're by the two end zones. So the second they got into the red zone drill, we got a perfect view of Jimmy G against the Saints' number one defense, and then Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, I guess, against the Rams' number one defense. So, and the cool thing, they were kind of delayed. So when Shuck took a snap, I got to see Jared Verse and Braden Fisk go at it against that team. And then maybe 10 seconds later, I turned to my left. It's Jimmy G taking shots at the same second there. So it was perfect.
Oh yeah, I saw how they broke it down. I guess it was the number one offense for the Rams going up against the Saints number two defense, and then the number is the vice versa, right? And then it was two
For the
fields.
most part, they were pretty much one on ones. Like
Okay.
Saints. Well, they did mix it up, but that red zone period, it was best on best. So it was the number one Rams offense against the number one Saints defense, and then same thing over there, one versus one. So they were mixing and matching, especially the Saints, because you don't know who your quarterback is going to be, Shuck or Rattler. A lot of mixing there, and then same thing with the Rams because you have an injury with Matthew Stafford. So a lot of kind of mixing and matching to see what works for Jimmy G. But defensively too, because for the Saints, that is, they have a lot of older veterans defensively, so there was a lot of backup players for the Saints. It was actually kind of hard to keep track of, but that red zone period, it was so easy to keep track of, and it was all the best players on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, just from reading and sound, kind of, listening and kind of reading from what happened today, the defense really stood out. Sounds like Maybay wasn't happy with the offense, and so
Yeah.
we'll get into all that. So in this episode, we'll recap as we've kind of started talking about the Rams and Saints scrimmage, with Gilbert, who was at Dignity Health Sports Complex. And I kind of want to ask you about, I think it was done on purpose where they held that practice, because I think it also kind of benefited not only the players and the team, but also the reporters, because you guys were able to get a lot of good angles there from, I mean, everybody that talked about or kind of reported from there today, everybody was pretty much on point. Everybody's got the same kind of views.
Yeah. I think the Rams are not ready to host another team on their temporary. Well, it's not a temporary site, but it's a work in progress site. That's probably the better way to put it. And then it'd be
Yeah.
kind of funny to leave Irvine to go back to Irvine. Like, hey, we actually need you, Irvine. The Saints are
Yeah.
hosting us in Irvine. So instead of driving that far too, that they met in the middle, Irvine to Carson, Carson to Woodland Hills. And I think the only thing that was holding up the for sure from Kellen Moore is to see how many injuries they have on their side, especially after a preseason game, which was on Sunday. And I think by Monday they figure it out. And I don't think we heard about the location until Tuesday. So that was probably maybe one of the snags there. Where are we going to do this thing? Because Irvine is perfect. Irvine is massive, but I actually enjoyed that site in Carson. It was, outside of the Dignity Health, whatever the hell it's called, Home Depot, StubHub, whatever you want to call it, where the Galaxy
Right.
play and the Chargers for a little bit for 3 years. And in front, there's a bunch of fields right there. And honestly, it was a perfect setup, just standing in the middle of the two fields, watching both sides.
Yeah, and so yeah, that was one of the takeaways so far that I was able to gather, and then of course we'll get into the latest with the injury update on Matthew Stafford's back issue, which uh, Sean McVay talked about it
Mm,
after the joint practice, and I can't wait. So we have a couple of guests that will be joining us. Gilbert, as you said, you were able to talk to a couple of people while you were there, and we got two guests that were on hand with you there. So we'll get to that. And then just our engagement question of the day. How many sacks will the Rams record this season? The Rams last season had 38 sacks during the regular season, and then Gilbert they had 16 in the playoffs, 9 versus the Vikings and 7 against the Eagles. So I just want to know, like, we continue to hear about this front and how good it's been. They continue to dominate. You know, whether it's been the Cowboys or now the Saints during a joint practices. So I mean, you know, are we looking at a Rams team that can eclipse 50 sacks this season, especially with the what we saw in those last two playoff games? So let us know. What do you guys
yeah.
think? Where does this front end up with sacks this season?
Yeah, I see JK47 has the first comment. So let us know in the comments how many sacks this season for the Rams. Yo to you, sir, too. Let us know how many sacks for the Rams in 2025. And I think the Broncos led the way last year with 53. So that's a very good number right there. So if the Rams defensive front with a lot of young players who are going to go to year 3 or year 2, maybe they could get into that 50 range. But to go back to Mr. Negative, I honestly don't care about the sacks. I think the sacks are going to be there. The pressure is going to be there. Can you stop the run? Can you be physical and stop the run there? So it was hard to tell in a joint scrimmage if you're good against the run because the run is such a physical aspect of football where you don't want to hurt players. And I'll say this to start off the show here before we get to our guest. Sean McVay did not like with Demario Davis. He collided with Kyron Williams from the get-go. It was first 11 on 11. Demario Davis went downhill, smacked Kyron Williams. But I'll say, and then Sean McVay was chirping on the Saints sideline, hey, don't do that, be smart. But I think Sean McVay eased up because the following play, or maybe a couple plays after, Kyron Williams lit up Demario Davis on a pass block, and Demario Davis respected it. He's like, okay, all right, kid, I like what you're doing here. It really set the tone to kind of add some of that physical element on that field. The other field didn't really have it. And Fernando, or I would give away our guess, Fernando will tell you he did not like the physicality on the other field, and that was the Rams defense against the Saints offense. And but that's okay. You want to be safe in a scrimmage. But the other field there was a lot of action, and Sean McVay did not like it. But I think when there was an establishment from both sides, okay, let's increase a notch. Everybody was okay with it.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, you have to go out, you know, we've talked about this about the Rams being able to use this. They want to use these joint practices as a preseason, and I think part of it too is because you know you want to see the physicality from the other teams. And I guess I'm a little bit surprised from Sean McVay that he didn't want them to go a little bit too hard there and kind of ease it up a little bit. But have heard in the past too. I've seen it with McVay where he you know with some of the teams they face, they're like, hey, can we kind of keep it like not full go because you don't want to get anybody hurt in terms of you know a late hit or something like that. Which you know you that's part of it. You want to these joint practices, you want to be able to use them to get some tape to be able to you know get better and see the progress of your young players. And so if you're either getting in a fight or you're you know hitting you know having late hits and then you're having to end the practice, it does nothing to benefit your team.
Yeah, so I think maybe Sean just wanted to set the tone, like, hey, it's okay to be physical, but be smart about it. And when you're on the field, people can't really hear you, so you got to shout. So maybe it seemed like he was pretty annoyed,
Yeah.
and I know reporters asked him about it at the press conference, where he's like, no, it wasn't an illegal hit. It was just more like let's be aware of what we're here to do in the joint scrimmage. But honestly, I don't think I saw a fight. Maybe a couple times some players, went on the ground, and they were they're shoving on the ground a little bit, but then they get up and okay, let's break it up and go to the next play. So In terms of that, it was fine. There was no beef, no drama, nobody got hurt. It was actually a pretty good joint scrimmage overall.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see. And then we have a comment here from James Wheelock says, "I think we can get 50 sacks, but can they stop the run and stop these long runs?" So that's the bigger question, like you said. But we don't want to keep our guests waiting. One of them is here, or do we want to wait till our fourth guest comes in, Gilbert?
Yeah, hopefully our guest in the green room is having a nice beverage or a snack and could give us a couple seconds before Fernando gets here and
Okay.
for the big show. Then, but give us real quick the update on Stafford, and then we'll have our two guests on.
Yeah, so our well, we have two updates here in terms of the injury report. Matthew Stafford will have another workout on Saturday, similar to the one he had prior to the Cowboys preseason game. When asked by ESPN's Sarah Barshop if Stafford's back issue at this point is more functional or pain tolerance, McVay said, "quote I think probably a little bit of both. We're trying to get our hands around this as well." And then in terms of the other injury, it was cornerback Emmanuel Forbes. He returned. He had a hamstring. He returned to practice earlier this week and participated in Thursday's joint practice. I think he went about 50 plays. I mean, 50% of the plays in this joint practice, Gilbert. But I mean, it doesn't sound positive in terms of the new Stafford update, but I guess we're still week to week.
Yeah, I'll keep it short here, and then we'll have our big guest jump on and give us his thoughts immediately on this. But I'm starting to get worried about Stafford, and maybe you're right, Victor. You mentioned this earlier this week on Compas on the Beat. We're like, you know what, just sit the guy for 4 games and take your chances with Jimmy G. You need Matthew Stafford for December, but I'll say this: it's starting to sound like there's something where he's gonna have to deal with it for the whole year. And when he's asked about it, is it something that's about pain tolerance or being functional, and they don't even know if it's both or one or the other? That's not a good sign. But maybe they're just trying to, you know, they're trying to create some intrigue here for the Stafford return. But let's not waste any more time. And
Yep.
our other guy is late, and I'll give him crap in a bit. But do we have music, by the way, Victor? Or is that just a
I
Fernando thing
don't have it
on the
on
other
here,
show?
so I apologize. I need to. I'll have it for next time.
Okay.
I'll ask
That's
Fernando
where
to
What's
give
Up
me
Both
his.
has the advantage over House of Horns, but that's
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
do better intros than Fernando anyway. So for
yeah.
our grand guest, this guy's a Hall of Famer in my book. He's a Hall of Famer writer. He's a Hall of Fame reporter. He's a Hall of Fame good guy. Eric D. Williams. Eric, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I don't need music. I just need to,
Yeah.
to come out, like Mike Tyson, just come out with a towel and let's go.
You know what, Eric? You're all business. When I saw you today on the field, you got the backpack still on, you got the notepad out. And he's like, "Hey, Gil, what's up?" Nah, you're actually much nicer to that than just. But you're a pro, and I appreciate that because there's times where like, you know what, I need to lock in, and I don't know how to maneuver between douchebag, angry reporter, or hey, let's be chummy and be friends here. But you have a nice routine here where you know what, you're all business, but you're not rude about it. I like that.
Hey, we can still be friendly and say what's up and still get our work done and be professional. And, that's what I try to do. I go out there and like you said, I'm there to do the work, but I'm still going to say what's up to you and dap you
Yeah.
up and, acknowledge your presence.
It's like, hello, Gilbert, how you doing? And then also, have you seen Stafford? Because nobody has. So Eric, not seeing Stafford out there, and then hearing the update. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'm with you, Gil. I think it is concerning for a couple different reasons. His age, 37 years old. You have to acknowledge that. And you're dealing with injuries like this, as you age as a player, I think it's harder to kind of get back to where you need to be. So I think that's part of it. And then I think you also have to look at his injury history since he's been with the Rams. He's dealt with a lot of different types of injuries, whether it's the bruised spinal cord, the arm issues, his thumb. He had a hip contusion at one point. So he's had a number of nagging injuries. And then I think the other thing is, Stafford is going to get hit. I mean, we know that. He's a tough dude, and you
Yeah.
admire the way that he plays through the contact, but he is going to take some blows. And so if you're already starting the year and you're dealing with a back issue and you're 37 years old, um, I do think it's concerning in terms of his ability to last a full season in terms of where this team thinks they want to go, which is, they believe they have enough talent to not only get to the Super Bowl but to win it. And so I understand why Coach McVay is being very cautious in terms of making sure he's fully ready to go, because the healthiest you're going to be as a player is week 1. It's only going to get worse from there. So you want to start Stafford at the healthiest point that you can week 1. But you're also sacrificing a lot of ability to build chemistry with Devontae and obviously Puka and the rest of that offense. And then, Jimmy G wasn't great today. It was bad Jimmy G today.
Yes, it was.
And so that's the concern, right? If you're going to miss Stafford throughout the year for 3, 4, 5 games, and you're going to throw Jimmy G in there, is he going to play in games where it's going to cost you potentially either seeding or even getting into the playoffs because you're going to have to roll with him?
Yeah, and Eric, I mean, we were pretty upfront about it last week when we talked about it, and this is something that the Rams like to do. They don't put a lot of this news out there, and so when we've talked about some of the injuries, whether it's been Puka, whether it's been other guys in the past, they don't put the news out there. So in terms of how this team can look with or without him, I mean, how can you spin this positively? And I'm trying my best here because I wanted to talk about Jimmy G, but at the same time, I have to be honest here in terms of asking you about this is, how good can this Rams team be if Stafford is having to miss some games and Jimmy G has to be in there as a quarterback?
Yeah, I just think Jimmy has had a lot of success in the league. I mean, he's a guy that's played in the Super Bowl, has played in NFC Championship games, and so you have to give him his flowers in terms of that. That said, the last time that we saw him on the field where he was leading a team was with the Raiders, and it didn't go great. They ended up moving on from him, so you have to acknowledge that part as well. I think if you're McVay, and you're looking at glass half full, that Jimmy G was 8-0 against your team as a starter. So he had a lot of success against your team and you saw it up close. And so you can maybe lean on that and feel like you can kind of build an offense around Jimmy that supports him and, kind of gives him guardrails. So you're not asking him to do a whole lot, kind of like Kyle Shanahan did, with the 49ers. And you have a lot of playmakers on offense in order to do that. But I do question the offensive line. I mean, you're already seeing injuries crop up, and we haven't, again, made it to week 1 yet. And there's going to be more injuries throughout the year. That's what happens. And so is there enough depth to withstand 2 or 3 injuries to key guys and still have winning offensive line play in terms of being able to run the football and being able to protect the passer? I still think if Jimmy starts a handful of games, I still think that this team can win 10 games based on their schedule and who they're playing. But the last thing I'll say is, and I've been writing this for the last couple of years, so I went back and looked at the stories. I've been talking about a succession plan for Matthew Stafford for the last 2-3 years. Yeah. And we know McVay does not like to draft quarterbacks for whatever reason. And this year, Jackson Dart, I think, won a pick before the Rams traded out of the first round. Mm-hmm. Could they perhaps have moved up to get somebody like Jackson Dart, the way you're watching him play with the Giants? Could they have gotten Tyler Shuck in the second round, who's looked, okay at times for the Saints? Could they have got Shadir Sanders, who is playing pretty well, 5th round pick? They had I believe they had a pre-draft visit with Jalen Milroe, who has a lot of juice. And if you watched him for the Seahawks, looked okay. So, yeah. Stetson Bennett has had his moments, give him credit. He's improved, he got better. But I don't know if I would rather have Stetson over those other guys I just mentioned in terms of the potential for the future. And we knew like this day's coming where Stafford was he's getting older. He can't play forever. And so you always wondered like what was the plan behind him, and is that plan in need now?
Yeah, I love that answer, Eric, because he also kind of get me fired up because people call me a little negative sometimes on the show here. And during the draft, I said, hey, getting an extra first round pick, that's great, but you kind of jeopardized the current roster. You had a bunch of needs for this roster in 2025, and you moved down to the second round, and then now you're saying what you said, Eric, about it could have been if you wanted to get 2 first round picks for a quarterback next year. You didn't have to wait. You could have got Jackson Dart and the guys you mentioned. So that's another way to look at it too. So nothing wrong with getting an extra first round pick in your back pocket, but you missed a lot of talent to drop down to whatever pick. And by the way, Terrence Ferguson was not participating in the scrimmage today. So if he's healthy and he becomes a real playmaker for them as a rookie, maybe we're not talking about it as much, but those are things to think about. But let's get to the takeaways for the scrimmage and get to our very, 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 very late guest. Fernando, we do not have music for you, but I just want to say, did you get lost hanging out with Deuce McAllister, the former running back of the Saints, who was out there, and you guys were all chummy and smiling for a little bit? So is that why you were not here on time like Eric was?
No, I was posting my story. I got home, I wrote it really quick,
Okay.
and I'm like, all right,
You're a pro.
I got to get on there. So yeah, professional first. So I did have to file the story. I filed it, and I was like, all right. I talked about the chirpiness between Sean McVay and some of the players that he's done that before, though. For context, there was a running play to the right where Jimmy handed it off to Kyren. Justin Reed comes up and just smacks him. Like you could hear the thud, and McVay like walks over and he starts saying something to him, and then it's Demario Davis, Chase Young, and McVay chirping back and forth. And then you could hear McVay yell, "I love football," like after that. And I'm just like, what are we doing? So he spoke about it after practice, and he said, he's like, it's just playfulness. Like, it's just fun banter. But McVay did it last year with Alohi Gilman during the Chargers practice. And then I asked Puna after practice, and he said, that stuff fires me up. Having a coach like that kind of gets after it, that fires me up. I love it. I love seeing it. So McVay, I guess, is doing it for his players. But yeah, that was pretty much the interesting thing I saw at practice. Because I mean, Jimmy G, it's like I wrote, he's a roller coaster, and that's exactly what the Rams know. And I heard what you guys were saying about him and quarterbacks. I told you guys that's what's it called when you're an alcoholic, rehab. That's rehab, quarterback rehab. Sean loves that stuff. Sean's gonna keep on doing that
quarterback
stuff.
Yeah.
I've been saying it, and a certain jackass, Tyler Dragon, wrote about it and saying, oh, yeah, it's quarterback rehab. I'm like, yeah, good job there. So, but by the way, Tyler, I love you. See you Saturday. Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. McVay knows that his system works for veteran quarterbacks. He thinks he doesn't. You know how Telesco used to say, you draft them, you develop them, and you pay them. Him with quarterbacks, it seems like he's like, you bring them in, you bring those high draft picks in who are busts. I develop them, I pay them, and I keep them, and that's exactly what it seems like McVay is kind of all for. But I agree with Eric. They have to have a contingency plan that they haven't yet developed, and I don't think Jimmy G. I think, like Vic said on Tuesday, Jimmy G he'll win you a game or two in this first 4-game stretch, but he can't go the full season and get you to the promised land the way Stafford is. So I think McVay needs to start realizing life after Stafford is looking a little bleak unless they do something moving forward. But that's why I think 2027, Peyton Manning. I think that Manning might be a Ram in 2027.
Manning can't even get on the Manning list for college football.
Whoa! I will not take any Arch Manning slander. He is a Manning.
The award is named after his family name. Come on, can't even get on it.
Arch Manning has been described as a Manning, but with legs. I'm all for it. Let's see it. I can't wait. So
okay.
No, but in all seriousness, they do need to start getting ready for life after Stafford, because it's coming and it's coming quick.
They got the 2 first-round picks, but I like
it's already here. It's
Yeah.
No,
already
I know.
here. It's
Yeah.
not coming. Like we can't
Well, I
wait
mean,
till 2027. Like they
yeah.
needed to have done this
Well, they
1 to
have
2
2 first round
years
draft
previous.
Yeah.
picks next year.
I get that, but
That's minor.
my issue is I think it might cost them this year.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
this team is built to win
Mhm.
now.
No,
And
no.
so if Stafford can't get out there because he has a bulky back and you're relying on Jimmy G and his heckle and jive play, then it's concerning and it's it's I don't think it's fair for the guys on the roster now because they want to win now. They don't want to win in 2027.
And Devontae's
Um,
been through this. He knows exactly
Yeah.
what's the backup quarterback situation.
He knows what it looks like. He's seen this movie before.
Well, don't worry,
Exactly,
guys.
and-
The Immortal bus or mobile thing is here to fix Matthew Stafford's back, and they'll be fine. What's it called? Immortal, whatever the brand was
Immortal.
for
I'm
that.
surprised they haven't looked into the European like style of medicine to see if maybe that could help them.
The Germany
some of the stuff that
medicine.
they're some of the stuff that like Rey Mysterio went to go get stuff done. I mean, I know it's a different sport, but like he went to go get stuff done in Germany. Kobe used to get stuff done in Germany. Like there's no, but going back to the thing that Jimmy G throw, and I can see it in my head. Gilbert, you and I were
Oh, I
standing
saw the
right there.
video. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Oh, there was video of it.
a
There was
medicine
oh,
ball.
okay.
Somebody tweeted out the video. I'm
Oh, yeah.
surprised because we're not allowed to record, but it looked like it was it was taken by a professional camera. So I wonder who did it. But
yeah, I saw it.
yeah, you can tell.
But how
Julian,
about this? Because Victor's going to ask us. Victor, lead the way of
Yep.
this takeaway segment, and
Oh, yeah,
then
my
we'll
bad.
get into the Jimmy G portion.
Yeah. So I mean, just give me you guys' takeaway. We'll start off with Eric in terms of what you saw today, whether it was the Rams or the Saints. We do have a Saints question, which I'll get
okay.
to. So just starting off with Eric, whether it's, I guess let's start off with the Rams. What was your biggest takeaway? Was it the defense, the offense struggling, or the front four again? Being the ones that lead the way there, because that's been the talk of camp. It seems like it's that front four.
Yeah, I think you're right for me. And I did spend a decent amount of time on the Saints offensive field, Rams defensive field, and the Saints really struggled to get any kind of rhythm going on offense because Verse and Young and Braden Fisk and those guys were just kind of living in the backfield. And so again, we've seen that whenever they've gone against other teams is the defensive line has kind of asserted its dominance. And yeah, I think that's going to be really the key to their season, their ability to generate consistent pass rush. And then along with that, I was able to talk to Giff Smith, the defensive line coach, and Braden Fisk about Puna Ford, and both those guys just gushed over kind of what he's bringing to that group and his ability to be stout in the interior of that defense. And I think that's going to bode well in terms of their ability to consistently stop the run, having a legit run stuffer like that in the inside. And they also believe he can help in terms of pass rush. That don't be surprised if you still see him on the field in third down situations and being able to push the pocket. So for me, defensive line play. And then I think we saw, Blake Corum continue to make moves. I mean, he's been solid. He looks way better than he did. And from my eyes, his rookie season, he just looks like he's playing faster and he has a better understanding of the offense. And now you're starting to see those highlight plays that you saw when he was at Michigan a few years ago. And so obviously they gave Kyron a lot of money. He deserves it with the way that he's produced over the last couple of years. However, we know what happened with the Todd Gurley years and the overuse. And so having a guy like Blake, I think you can kind of guard against that a little bit and maybe have a little bit of 1-2 punch there with those two guys.
Gilbert?
Eric says, all aboard the Blake Corum train.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm with Eric. I saw Blake Corum have a good amount of runs there, and I know I started off the show by saying that it's a little hard for the running game to get going during the joint scrimmage because you want to be safe. But then I think after that Justin Reed hit, the intensity picked up, and it became actually good work for the running game. And I saw a lot of Kyron, a lot of Blake Corum, and then Jarquez Hunter, the rookie out of Auburn. So those three guys, like the running game was good. It's just Jimmy G in the quarterback for the passing attack wasn't so good. But I like what I saw with the running attack. But for my point, I'll kind of go off with the camp gems, and then I'll be quick about this question here. I mean this Nolia Ant question, but I'll be quick with the gems because I'm not there every day, and I know a lot of the Rams beat reporters have been high on the rookie wide receiver. Is it Canante Mumfield?
Yep.
And
Cannot.
then the other one is a linebacker, Nate Landman, who was with the Falcons for the last few years. And Landman, I think, got the forced fumble on Camaros, and they were loving it. They were jumping. The entire Rams defense was loving that play. He set the tone right away. And then in the middle of the practice, I was turning to Fernando. And Fernando asked me, like, who's 15? And he made like back-to-back plays. And I looked up the roster. Oh, yeah, that was Mumfield there. So, you know, he was with the third or the second team because I was Stetson Bennett throwing on the ball. But to make plays with whoever's on the field or who's your quarterback, I think to me goes a long way. But again, I'm just going off of like these guys potential to doing something. They're gonna be superstars. But if you're getting hype from the beat reporters, I kind of wanted to see it for myself, and they were making plays. So I'll give them shout outs for that. And then real quick, Nolia, and I think the Saints really want Tyler Shuck to be the quarterback there. I know Spencer Rattler started today for a bit, and then after that, it was a lot of Shuck. So they really want Tyler to be the guy there. And Fernando pointed this out because he was at the preseason game, Chargers Saints. He's a very good learner, and he's a gamer. He has a good toughness. I don't know if that means he's a good skilled quarterback, but he has good attributes, good size, good arm. But I'll say this: there wasn't nothing that was very impressive today. And I know Eric was watching that side of the field today, but you get the sense they want him to be the guy. And the biggest thing for him, being a rookie quarterback on a probably bad team, can you be a quick learner? Can you forget about the mistakes and move on and just show toughness? That could go a long way. In terms of the skill set, I don't know if it's totally there, but I like the toughness, and I think he's going to win that job to keep it short there.
I'm going to push back just a little bit.
Okay.
I think they're all three about even. I agree with that. I feel like Rattler's maybe the most game ready out of those guys. The one thing that I did see from Shuck is when he got pressured, that the ball just kind of went all over the place. Like, I don't think he was always composed under pressure. He looks great in 2-minute drill when the pocket's clean and you just have two man back there and you don't have a lot of guys getting his face. But his ability to evade isn't as good as Rattler's is. But I do feel like he has a higher potential, higher ceiling. I think Rattler has a higher floor. I think all three of those guys are probably going to play at some point this season. Yeah. So they get a good evaluation.
Eric. Come on, just keep the two guys that 1 and 2.
So, but I think ultimately they're probably going to draft another quarterback next year. I think that's kind of where they're headed.
Okay.
Fernando's been saying.
Yeah,
his son's coming out. Nussmeier's son. He's coming out at LSU next year. Yeah. He doesn't have to move very far. He can be there with Papa.
Yeah, a lot of former Idaho guys on that roster, coaching roster.
Biggest takeaway. I agree with Eric. I think they will go. I think Kellen Moore has a little bit of cushion. I don't think there's like pressure because I'm sure the Saints know exactly what they have. Sean Payton was there for numerous years. I think they know they're going to have to be patient, but I think they're going to go Rattler and then maybe at one point they're going to have to go Shuck just to see what the kids got. Again, I think the weapons, I mean, if Olave and all these guys are ready to go, I think they're good. I think they should be able to at least muster something up. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but from the Rams side, I was surprised that Jared Verse was so calm. I thought today, like against the Cowboys, he was chirping left and right. He was getting into Dak Prescott's face. He was getting into everybody's face. And here he was a little bit more. Every fight or scrum that happened against the Cowboys, Jared Verse was in the middle of it. And here he was a lot more composed, more chilled out. Like it's kind of like he said, "Oh yeah, you guys. I mean, the Cowboys will probably see them down the line. You guys, I mean, exactly." So, no, I thought again. And by the way, speaking of that receiver number 15, both of those were bad throws by Stetson Bennett, and the dude made a good adjustment. You forgot that part. He made good adjustments to come down with it. But no, I really think that again the run game was good. I thought in one of those Blake Corum planted Demario Davis on a pass protection, so I thought that was pretty impressive as well. Like he literally had him on the ground, and I was like, okay, there was a lot of chirpiness between Demario Davis and Kyron Williams also, so I thought that was interesting. But no, I thought that the defensive line of the Rams got a lot of pressure on both Rattler, Shuck. I thought they were constantly getting push, and obviously that's a little shaky for a young quarterback, whether it is Rattler or whether it is Shuck, especially because they're going to play Tampa Bay. They play a lot of these teams that have good fronts. So they play the Atlanta Falcons, who obviously drafted 2 young edge rushers. So that's going to be a little worrisome for the Saints. But I have more on the Saints than I do on the Rams. I thought the Rams looked good against the Cowboys. I thought the run game looked very good against the Cowboys. Then this time I thought their run game looked really good. It's just that Jimmy G factor. Can Jimmy G kind of get things going? Their offensive line, though, pass protection, it was shaky at times. Chris Rumpf was getting some push on there. I saw him a couple times. I saw Chase Young get some push. So that's the pass protection, I think, is going to be the biggest is going to have the biggest spotlight on it when you talk about the Rams.
Yeah, and I just saw that David Quisenberry was the one that was starting at left tackle instead of DJ Humphries. So I don't know what happened there today with DJ Humphries, because he's supposedly been starting at left tackle while Alaric Jackson deals with the blood clots, which that's the other name that I keep hearing that it should be ready to go week 1 as well as Alaric Jackson. But we'll see. I mean, we know how the Rams are about, they like to be positive about it, but it wouldn't surprise me if both Alaric Jackson and Matthew Stafford are on IR to start the season, and then they kind of just shuffle guys, over. But I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. I know you guys were out there, and you guys gave us some great perspective there. But I kind of just I will start off with Eric, and then I'll work my way over with everyone here. Has the NFC in how you look at it changed now with the injury to Matthew Stafford? And just give me a little breakdown of each of these teams in the NFC West and where you see them stacking up this season.
Yeah, I think it has changed for me because you're talking about the most important position on the field. You talk about quarterback, and if you don't have stability there and you're unsure who's going to play, and you're talking about a backup versus potentially the best quarterback in the division, I mean, that's a significant drop off in terms of your offensive production and what you can expect on a week-to-week basis. So if you're talking it's going to be Jimmy G starting instead of Matthew Stafford, then I would probably have to push the Niners up as the favorite for the division and not the Rams. I know the Niners have their issues too. I don't know who's going to line up at receiver right now. You look at all the injuries they have at that position group, but all reports are that Christian McCaffrey looks like the guy that led the league in scrimmage yards and touchdowns. And that's really the engine of that offense. You still have George Kittle there. You still have Trent Williams. So I think there's enough on offense. And then I think having Robert Salah back defensively, along with Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Diamador, they have an elite player at all 3 levels of their defense. And then their schedule, I mean, my goodness, besides the guys they play in the NFC West, they're not playing anybody at home this year. I mean, their schedule's a cakewalk. They should win 10 games with blindfolded. So I think that's an advantage, a significant advantage. So you add all that up, and like I said, just with the Stafford stuff, I would put Niners, and then I might even throw Seahawks right there next to the Rams, just because of their defense. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get from them offensively with Darnold and new offense coordinator and all that, but I think defensively they're going to have a top 10 defense. And then, oh, by the way, Arizona, Gil's been down there, they're better. I mean, the defense is better. I don't know how Kyler's going to play, but I know the defense looks.
We saw a glimpse on
fast. Looks more fast and physical. Looks more. Well, we did see a pick. We did see a pick. We did see a little bit of Kyler. Hey, I'm not going to stand for the Kyler slander. I'm not going to stand for the Kyler slander. I'm ride or die with. I'm saying right now, I'm ride or die with Kyler. I think Kyler's going to ball out this year.
Okay,
Eric, I'll bring flowers to your funeral.
I'm not saying playoffs, but I think Kyler's is going to.
By the way, I think my brother would say that the most important position is the center on the or a left tackle on the field.
That's why your brother's not here today.
Before I move on to Gilbert, is this a make or break season for Kyler Murray? I mean,
yeah, I think so. I think if it doesn't happen for him, then they have to consider whether they're going to trade him, whether they're going to bring a different, coaching staff and front office that can do it with him, because he still has, I think, 3 years left on his deal. But I think something needs to happen at this point, because you'll have enough runway to know whether, either it's him or it's the scheme, or they have to figure that part out. So I do feel like it's a make or break year for Kyler.
Hey, Kyler, Eric says that it's a make or break year for you. I got you.
Is he in the basement playing video games, or was that because he's short? I can't tell which one.
No, he's out there getting reps with Marvin Harrison, building chemistry. Come on now.
On Call of Duty. Hey,
Gilbert.
they were out in Arizona, or they were out in Denver today, and he got a picture. Marvin Harrison got a selfie with Peyton Manning. I didn't know Peyton Manning knew how to take selfies.
He's not that old.
Peyton completed a lot of passes to his dad.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, Eric, you have a good approach to view this from the NFC West, because even with the healthy Stafford, I'm not even sure they're Super Bowl contenders, and it goes back to that pick that they didn't really help this year's roster. Yeah, you got the double first round picks for next year, but I'm still worried about the linebacker. I'm still worried about the secondary. Like you got a good rotation of safeties, but who's going to be your number one cornerback? Am I gonna keep hyping up Nate Landman to be Zach Vaughn for this year for the Rams? Omar Spate's gonna do something year 2, or is it Pooh Paul, whatever his name is, or Chris Paul Jr., which I like better for a name. But yeah, they have, and then also the front's very good, but can you stop the run? Like, that's the thing I'm worried about. Defensive offense, don't get me started on the offensive line. You got some great wide receivers. I just feel like the Rams are good for the division, which is a very good division, and it's also very close. So I think the Stafford injury keeps you closer to the Cardinals, Seahawks, and the 49ers. In terms of the whole NFC picture, I'm just not even sure where the Rams really are. But hey, I thought they're going to jump out to a big lead in the September because of a kind of an easy schedule. And then you got the injury that might not happen. But keeping in the NFC West here, yes, I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but I think they'll find a way. But I'm going to keep going with the Cardinals. They're like a very slow stock that's going to just keep going up for me. 4 wins, 8 wins, 12 wins. I don't know how many wins for year 3 of Jonathan Gannon, but I just can't get behind Sam Darnold in Seattle. I wasn't a big Sam Darnold guy in Minnesota. Why would I be a Sam Darnold guy in Seattle when the surroundings are not as good in Minnesota? I want to see what Mike McDonald does in year 2, but all the concerns from the offense last year, you kind of starting the offense all over again, and that scares me. It's too many moving parts there. And then the 49ers, they seem like they're going through retooling. I wouldn't say a rebuild, but the defense is very young. And like you mentioned, Eric, a lot of injuries already for the wide receivers. So I know people keep saying, easy schedule. You don't play the games on paper. You don't know who's going to be good or bad or whatever. So I'm tired of hearing that. So I say the Rams are going to be okay. But in terms of the NFC West picture, to answer Victor's question, it's a lot closer now. Like, I'm having a hard time, just saying Rams are going to still win it. But if you run the football well with Kyron and Blake Corum and Hunter, and you try to avoid the Jimmy G to Devontae Adams connection, because like Fernando was saying earlier, Devontae was wide open, and I was going to see this pretty pass right in front of me, hit the guy in stride, go for the touchdown, and they hit the Saints player in the back of the helmet. I'm like, okay, that was Jimmy G throwing the football. So that kind of summarizes that relationship there. But Devontae did catch a nice pass from Jimmy in the red zone drill, and they were pretty hype about that. And then 2 plays later, he threw a hospital ball to Devontae Adams. So it's going to be a rocky connection. But when you got a running game, you got a good pass rushers, you got good skill players, you got a good coach, you're going to be in the mix. So to me, it's more about the NFC West being closer than ever than a big picture thing, because even if they were healthy, I'm not sure where the Rams stand.
Gil just said the Cardinals are going to win the NFC West.
That's what he said.
You can put it out
if
there.
I see a press release from the Rams saying Stafford on IR for the first 4 weeks, then I will say that. How about that?
Oh, you're waiting for something else to happen. Damn. I do think everything shifted. Again, man, if I'm Netflix and I'm gonna do that receiver show again, and they say Stafford's going on IR, I'd pay Devontae Adams $5 million. Let us record you for the first 4 weeks.
Immediate reaction.
Oh, dude, I just want to see what he has to say. Or have him mic'd up, just a special version of you're just listening to Devontae the whole game and see what he has to say. But
It's Stetson in there. Why not?
I know. Well,
Yeah, I know.
You see, you throw me low hanging fruit and I didn't take it. I'm being better.
You can look down to him too if you want.
Oh yeah, Kyler Murray. Yeah. No, but I do think it changes. And Eric's right. The Mike McDonald defense, like last year, they were 10-7. And I know Geno left and they got rid of DK and Tyler Lockett, but they still have some playmakers over there. Their defense, I think, is going to be a lot better. I think it's going to be really good. I think they're going to give teams fits. And then you look at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to be better, but it's like Eric said when we were, I think it was on the way on the way up there, he said Kyler and Marvin have to get on the same page, and they haven't. Like last year, they didn't really get on the same page. I thought Marvin had an underwhelming season, to say the least, especially drafted 4 overall. But I mean, he's learning, he's gonna get it. But again, I just need to see what that connection.
8 touchdowns.
I mean, that's good, but yards?
Like
8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's at the expense of their tight end who didn't catch a touchdown until the end of the season. No, okay, but it's still underwhelming. Lad McConkey had 8 touchdowns.
He had a good year.
For the hype, yeah. But
Okay, but did you think the
that was
connection
receiving yards?
Did you, Marvin?
Lad.
No, Lad had it.
Oh, Lad.
Yeah.
But you have to admit, Marvin had to it was a little underwhelming.
It's hard to catch the ball when it's 5 yards over your head. I mean,
well, and that's what I'm saying. Their
I'm not blaming
better.
Marvin for that. That's
no,
on
I
the
know.
quarterback.
I'm saying their connection.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
when you say underwhelming, it's like he didn't perform well because of what he did.
Oh,
don't
no,
think
I
he
meant like
performed well because of the quarterback.
Marvin
I think
Harrison
it could have been
and
better.
Eric are buds. My bad. I meant Kyler. No, I meant Kyler. Yeah, the connection has to get better. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the debate. Fernando, would you trade Lad for Marvin, and maybe that kind of the way to end the debate there?
Well, I mean, I think anybody would.
Okay.
Marvin is the son of Marvin Harrison Jr. This isn't a Brendan Rice and a Jerry Rice thing.
In the
This is
genes.
Marvin Harrison Jr. and Marvin Harrison Sr. Yeah, no, Marvin. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be incredible. It's just he needs a quarterback that's actually going to get him the ball. I'm sure he was like, oh, I hope I fall to go play with 10 instead of, I don't even know what number Kyler Murray plays. But I'm saying that connection needs to get better. Kyler needs to be better or number 1, I think. He needs to be better when it comes to his connection with him. And but I agree with you. I think the defense will be better. They got Sweat. They brought in Sweat. They paid him a lot of money. They've drafted well. I agree with Eric about San Francisco. San Francisco, yeah, the offense might, but the defense might be really good with Robert Saleh. Some of the and I think they kind of have a chip on their shoulder where everybody's kind of counting them out. And I'm sure the 49ers are like using that as fuel to,
They've got a lot of hype for bouncing back, I feel like.
No, so yeah, but a lot of people are saying, oh, a lot of players left. They don't have that much left.
That's true.
They don't. They lost a lot of fuel, but they still feel like they have a very good team. Brock Purdy obviously just got paid. It's going to be interesting to see if he can live up to that contract. And then obviously the Rams. I think if it's just 4 weeks, then I think the Rams could survive a 2-2 with Jimmy G. But the thing is, and McVay was asked about this after practice. Is it about him dealing with it or him being able to function with the back injury? He said it's a little bit of both. Like he's going to have to learn how to kind of play with the pain. And then on top of that, it's like Eric was telling me, it could be back spasms. It could be this. It could be a lot of different things. It could flare up one day, not flare up the next. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But if Stafford has to miss half of the season, then yeah, it's basically a wide open NFC West. But if it's wide open, then I think it's Seahawks, then 49ers, then Rams, then Cardinals. I don't.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm not a Kyler Murray guy.
No,
Sam Darnold guy? Okay.
No. Huh?
Sam
Darnold. No, that defense is going to be. That defense could be scoring more points than the offense can. That's how good I think that defense is going to be. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. Hey, last year I was almost right. I had them as a wild card. They were 10-7.
They were
But-
the team with the most wins that
Yeah.
did not make the playoffs
They
last
screwed
season.
me last year. I thought I was gonna look like a genius, and I ended up looking like a weenus. So yeah, but I was close. I was close. But yeah,
Like
I think McDonald's headed in the right direction with that team.
Yeah,
Legion of
yeah,
Boom's
and I
back,
mean,
huh?
yeah, this
Apparently.
this division now it's up for grabs, as you guys talked about it. I mean,
Adderall is back in Seattle, baby.
and especially with that defense, as you talked about, I want to see what the Cardinals do. I wanted to pick you guys' brain just on the Cardinals, just because I keep hearing how last season was more. They ran most of their offense through Trey McBride, even though once they got into the red zone, they didn't throw it to him. And then they kind of left Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the loop there, but their run game, it's going to be good again. And so, and that defense, I just listening today to the joint practice with the Broncos, they were throwing everything at Bo Nix. So, I mean, we'll see what that defense can do as well. And then, as you guys talked about with the Seahawks, I'm intrigued by that defense. That's the reason why they brought in Mike McDonald, was because part of the reason Pete Carroll is no longer there is because he couldn't stop Shanahan or McVay, and so now Mike McDonald's here. He knows how to control those offenses, and I can't wait to see what he does against those two teams. And but yeah, the Stafford injury now puts this division up in the air, and we'll see who comes out on top. But last thing before we go, Eric, I wanted you to, we did a compas wins draft where we picked 5 teams. We did a draft, and then so I want you to tell me who you think is going to have the most wins from these teams that were drafted from each of the compas. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Dan and
graphic
Dago.
or no?
Huh?
You don't have the graphic, do you?
I don't have the graphic,
Okay,
but I
you're
do
fine.
have the teams.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I'm going to start off with Dan and Dago. He went with the Chargers, the Packers, the Bengals, the Patriots, and the Steelers. Okay.
Okay. What's the
All
next
right.
one?
Chargers
Hold
were the
on.
first pick.
What do
Chargers
you
were
think about that
drafted number
team?
1 for
What do
them.
you think about that team?
I think that team has a lot to be desired.
They're all going to average 8 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, Bengals were there, right?
Right. They're the third team.
Bengals, because they're going to score. So I think they have a chance to win 10 games. Packers maybe 2. I think the Chargers around 9-10 wins. What were the other 2 teams?
The Patriots and the Steelers.
Patriots will win 8 games. Steelers will win 9 games.
A lot of middle of the road teams.
Yeah, but I think that the Packers, Bengals have a chance to be better than maybe some of those other teams on that list. Maybe the Chargers. I don't know. I mean, it's
okay,
Dan,
Eric.
so.
We want to hear what the rest.
Yeah.
We want to hear from. I can't wait to hear for what you have about Gilberto's team. He's got the Chiefs, the Lions, the Cowboys, the Broncos, and the Commanders.
There's a lot of losers in there.
What? The list started with the Chiefs and the Lions. Come on, Eric. What do you mean?
I think the Lions might only win 7 games.
Wow.
I really think them losing those 2
Minority.
coordinators is going to hurt them.
And they're in a pretty tough schedule, right?
They're hardest schedule. They're in a tough division. I'm concerned about Jared Goff because we've seen Jared Goff. We've seen bad Jared Goff. If you've covered the Rams, you've seen that. And I think we might see that movie again this year because I think he's going to get pressured a lot. And I don't know if they're going to have answers like they've had in the past. I like the Commanders. The Commanders actually my pick to come out of the NFC to go to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I'm with you on the Commanders. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I mean, until somebody beats in the NFC West, you might as well just put their name on the top of the division, at least in pencil, because Patrick Mahomes is still the best player in the league. So I like those 2. I have concerns about the Lions. What were the other
Broncos,
2?
Cowboys, Broncos, and Commanders.
I feel like people are gassing up the Broncos a little bit. I mean, When you look at what they have on offense, I mean, their weapons are okay, not great. You now have a second year of Bo Nix, and people will know how to defend him. So I feel like he'll be defensed differently, and maybe won't be as productive. Defense is really good,
Are you
but
thinking like non-playoff regression or just not Super Bowl hype like everybody's saying?
just not Super Bowl hype. I think
I'll take
9
that.
wins.
Okay,
Yeah, I think kind of right in the middle. I'm not saying they're going to be awful. I just feel like they're not going to be 12, 13 wins.
Eric
I
and
think
I
the
listened
Lions
to-
for me are the team that could slip.
Hey, I got one of your Super Bowl teams. I'll take it, so I feel good about it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Fernando's. I like Fernando's. I'll be honest. He's got the Ravens, the Eagles, 49ers, Bucks, and Bears.
Yeah, all of those are pretty strong except for the Bears.
Yeah.
You know, I first year coach Caleb doesn't look great apparently according to all the reports. So you wonder about that offense, and then is the defense going to be able to carry the offense? So I think 6-7 wins for the Bears. I think they're going to struggle. But I like the Ravens. Obviously, I like the Eagles. What were the other ones?
49ers, Bucks, and Bears.
Right. 49ers because of the schedule. I think they'll have a chance to win 10 games. And then I think the Bucks are like a sleepy pick to like reach the NFC Championship game.
They're
Because
Fernando's Bucks, by the way.
They're really good up front, the offensive line. They have a really good trio of running backs, so they can run it. My boy Mecca Ibuka, 253, Stellicum native, so he's from my hood.
Wow.
Probably one of the most polished pass catchers to come out of the draft, Ohio State guy, and their receiving core is pretty good. Baker's Baker, he's going to take some risk. He's going to take some shots. And then they're led by a defensive coach. So,
Yep.
Yeah, and they play in a bad division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baker's been hyping up that rookie receiver from Ohio State. So get him in fantasy.
He's starting to move up in fantasy drafts. A lot of people are starting to take him in like the 4th or 5th round. I don't know. We'll see.
He's the truth.
Yep. I've heard great things about him. All right. Last one is mine here. I have the Bills, the Rams, the Texans, the Falcons, and then the Raiders.
Ooh.
I took a chance.
I brought you down.
All right,
there.
so the Bills are my pick out of the AFC to go to the Super Bowl and actually win it. I think the Bills are going to win it finally. So he's got my Super Bowl winner there. So like that. Who are the other 4?
Rams, Texans, Falcons, and Raiders.
Okay, yeah. So I think Texans are going to be a playoff team. Rams, if Stafford's healthy, yep. Raiders, Coach Pete, got a lot of love for him. They'll be competitive, but the roster is the roster. The roster's still trash. So Pete, can only do so much magic. 7 wins for the Raiders, which would be better than they did previously. And then what was the last one?
Falcons.
I want to like the Falcons. I really, really want to like the Falcons.
This
but
is
what happened last year. I mean, there's no way they should have not been in the playoffs last year. I think Penix is a good player. I like their offensive weapons. I'm scared about their defense, and that's not great if your coach is a defensive guy. They play in a weak division. They should be good. I just don't know if they will be good. So I think 7-8 wins for the Falcons. But I mean, could be a sleepy pick if Penix plays like we think he can play. I mean, they could score a lot of points.
Eric, by the way, there was one individual that the night after the draft said, relax with all the Penix freak outs and why did they draft him? They have Kirk Cousins. It's your guy right here. He said, relax. Kirk Cousins might not be healthy enough, might suck, and then they have a rookie quarterback ready to go.
Yeah, just put aside the $100 million guaranteed for 2 months.
Yeah, $100 million guaranteed. Go ahead, put him on the bench.
Not a big deal.
I didn't say sign Kirk Cousins, but I said like at least go out and draft a young quarterback. They're ready. They're ready for the future.
Broken
Unlike
quarterback.
The Rams are not ready for the future. Eric.
They got $100 million hype guy that can hype up the crowd.
Number 2.
Hey, you can trade him halfway through the season if a team needs a quarterback.
Trade him to the Rams.
There's a team in LA who there's a guy named McVay who's always wanted Kirk Cousins.
That we could have gotten Aaron Rodgers for 1 year on the Rams and that would have been fun to watch. I would Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers on the Rams would have been fun for 1 year. Unfortunately, we got robbed of that because McVay wanted to keep Stafford, but I guess it is what it is.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for joining us today. This was awesome. I mean, thank you guys for, being there and giving us your insights. I know somebody was saying on here, JK47, you guys are crazy if you think the Rams are not Super Bowl contenders. But
that's aimed at me for saying that.
Yeah.
He had a back spasm when he heard when he wrote super. So yeah, looks like Matthew Stafford. So it all depends on Stafford. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it all depends on Stafford.
And I mean, like Gilbert said, and not to be that defense, there's a lot of question marks. I mean, that front four is the best in the NFL probably, but the rest of it is there's a lot of question marks outside of that front four, and that's kind of the question marks that everybody has. Can they stop? Is Poona Ford enough to stop
your boy
Saquon Barkley if they have to play him again? So that's a huge by the way, when I asked him that, he goes, I don't know about what happened last year against Saquon. Like, I'm just here to add to beef up the defensive line. I was like, okay,
that's professional.
Yeah, I know he's a cool guy, very, very, very nice guy. So but yeah, it was great seeing all you guys. I got a nice little tan. Good. So it was good to see both of you guys and Omar, and talk to Deuce, my guy. So yeah.
Yeah, get him on the
Gilbert,
show.
go ahead and get us out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thank you guys again for the time. I appreciate it. You guys had a long drive and then still making time for us. We definitely appreciate your insight. But time to get going here. Eric also crushed my dreams with my Chiefs and the Lions here, but it's okay.
And the Cardinals.
And my Cardinals. No, he's a little higher on them, a little bit. But it's time to get going. Again, I love all your insights, all of you guys. But it's time to get going. Ya nos vamos, pues.